So what happened to your head? Show me the top of your head.
Oh man, top of the head.
What happened?
I just,
You got some rough scars there.
yeah, I don't know what happened really. I was fighting with this guy, and next thing I know, I was sitting alone. I remember I walked up and we started to talk, and the conversation got kind of heated, and then I threw a few punches and threw a few more, and he started to drop to the ground, and I went to back up to let him up so we could keep fighting, and next thing I know, I woke up and I was sitting in the parking lot all by myself, covered in blood. And I guess somewhere when I was gonna step away, they just jumped on me and kicked my ass, left me there by myself.
Life on the streets.
Yeah, life on the streets, man.
So Adrian, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Originally, I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and a little tiny hole, really, actually. I didn't know a toilet until I was 9 years old, you know what I mean? Because we had outhouses and shit where I was at, you know? And, yeah, like I said, it was about 9, I guess, before I actually seen and used a real functioning plumbed toilet, you know what I mean? But I can say that I didn't miss it. I don't think I missed anything, you know? I mean, growing up where I did and whatnot, I mean, sure, now looking back, it was, how could you say, made things easy, I guess, you know what I mean? We lived a different way, you know what I mean? Walked out back in the middle of the night and shit, you know what I mean?
Your family was poor.
But, yeah, I mean, we had a way of life, and that was what I knew, you know what I mean? We just lived out in the sticks, but was I unhappy about it? Nah, man. I was a happy kid, I think, you know what I mean? Growing up with just, even, you know, the fact that it was just my mom and me, you know, and my grandma, you know, and I had a rock star uncle, man, that used to come flying in and out of our lives like every now and again, and he played drums for Ozzy Osbourne for like 16 years. His name was Randy Castillo, and he died on tour actually with Ozzy, and from stomach cancer. But you know what I mean? He'd come flying in from Korea or whatever, you know what I mean? And they'd like save all the things that I'd done wrong for my uncle to swap my ass when he came. And he'd like come and pull me into the room and show me all kinds of cool shit from all over the world. And he'd tell me, man, don't be getting caught doing that shit. If you're gonna do it, don't get caught, you know? So it was awesome though. My Uncle Pete.
Where's your dad?
My dad, he wasn't around, man. He just kind of faded off into and then he started coming around later on and wanting to see me and wanting me to spend time with him, and so I started to go but I think for me, I think it was more like getting to meet the other parts of my family, you know, the other half, his half, because they lived normal lives, you know what I mean? They had houses with toilets and, you know what I'm saying? And that was like like I said, my first experiences with all that kind of stuff was with that part of the family. And in the beginning, I kind of was fascinated by it, and made every excuse I think I could to try to spend more time at that side of the family. But in the end, I was more at home. You know what I mean? As soon as the novelty wore off from the new fucking, once all that wore off, man, I was just happier at home, back with my outhouse and you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Our wood burning stove, and it was cool.
It's familiar.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I remember like summers, Grandpa would cut us a piece of soap that my grandma would make on the stove and tell us fucking go out there to the river and wash your asses, you know what I mean? And the wintertime was this tub in the kitchen, you know what I mean? And yeah, the smaller kids got the good shit because they got the first warm, clean water, when the water was warm and clean and just getting together, you know what I mean? The little kids jumped in and cleaned, and by the time the older kids got it, it was already dirty and, cold. So me being one of the younger kids around that time, it was cool,
And then you moved to LA at some point?
Yeah, we moved. I was about 9 or 10, I guess. My mom came out here to Los Angeles and South Central LA, man. I kind of grew up there, Southgate, Linwood, Bell, Cudahy, and just my cousins were all gang members, you know what I mean? And just right away I was catapulted into this life of gang. I mean, just seeing it was like every day, seeing this gang violence and whatnot. And there came a point, I was probably about 10 years old, and my mom, I remember it clearly, my mom's got a pair of scissors sticking out of her head. And she's dragging some lady through my living room. And I guess they're fighting that. And she's hitting her, bam, bam. She turns around and she reaches into this drawer and she pulls out this gun and goes to stick it to this lady's head. And I just hear the gun go off, boom. But as she pulls out the gun, everybody in the room collapses on her. So it's like, bang, boom, bang, boom. And you know what I mean? I don't get to see the outcome of what happens or whatnot. But, to this day, I'm still not sure. But Mom didn't go to prison or anything. So I'm sure they stopped her before she killed this woman or whatever. But I just remember that always about my mom. And it made me so scared of my mom when she'd get, you know what I mean? And she was all of like 5 foot, you know what I mean? She'd look at me, you know what I mean? I'm 16, 17, and you know what I mean? Thinking I'm already a gang member, and I'm thinking, you know what I mean? There's nothing in the world that can scare me but let my mom would say, what did you, no, mommy, you know what I mean? Till her dying day, you know what I mean? 50 years old, or she was mommy, you know what I mean? But, yeah, she was something else, man. But just growing up in seeing that lifestyle, man, it just catapulted me right into it. And for some reason, when I started to gangbang, I just felt like I had to make a statement, you know what I mean? Everything I did 10 times more, you know what I mean? Because I was making a statement, no matter where I went and what prison I ended up, there'd be like Tatsby's shoe, you know what I mean? When you got out there and you were ordered to do something on the yard, you had to take, I think it was like 2 Big Bertha rounds before you got down on the ground. Or maybe it was 1, I think. And then somebody went and did 2. And then the time that I went out, I got called upon to go out there and make a statement. By this time, the guy who has the keys to the spot, we realize is my mom's ex-old man. So now he's latched onto me like his son, you know what I'm saying? But my name comes up and I have to go out there and do something. So in order to impress him, you know what I mean, I went out there and, you know what I mean, it was like 1 or 2 was the limit. But, you know what I mean, I did 3. just to, you know.
So what is a Big Bertha?
Big Bertha is a 42 millimeter block. They're wooden blocks, and they shoot them at you. They hurt, but after they shoot a couple of those, then they'll drop it and load the 9 millimeter or the Mini 14, depending on whether you're indoors or outdoors. They like that Browning indoors now because it doesn't have all that ricochet like the minis. But
you were ordered to go take care of somebody?
yeah.
Was that the first time you had to kill somebody?
No. In prison, yeah. In prison, yeah.
But outside of prison, it's happened before?
No, like I said, I did everything times 10, you know, and I just, I don't know. Looking back on it, I don't think I feel anything about it. There's maybe one in all the fucking times that really bothered me. Not bothered me, but it was just so intimate. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like shooting somebody from across the street or from across a room or something like that, and killing them is one thing. But when you're in a full-on hand-to-hand, locked in this tiny ass cell, and it's just two bodies in there fighting for, you know what I mean? It's really intimate. You know what I mean? You're exchanging body fluids. You're, you know what I mean? And it's, like I said, it's pretty intimate. And when it all happened, it just seemed like fake. It just seemed kind of, the only thing I can think of at the time, and it sounds stupid, when it was all going down and everything was happening, and I can kind of pinpoint now the points in where he was really dying, and everything was, all I could think of was riding a horse. Because growing up out there, we rode horses a lot, you know, and I'd been on a horse plenty of times where they gone lame. And you can feel it, you know, you feel the horse going lame, and you just know he's, you know, and that's what it felt like, you know what I mean? I was on this guy, and it felt like riding a horse, a lame horse. I could like feel his steps start to stutter, and he just, it was just, but the thing I think mostly that bothered me about it the most is that I don't think to this day I still don't even know why he had to die, you know what I'm saying? And that bothers me, you know what I'm saying? And the other thing that bothered me about it is that CDC won't tell the family the truth about how their son died, you know? And that, being a father who's lost 2 children, man, I think it's imperative to know exactly how your child dies, you know what I'm saying? And for these dudes to just fucking lie, their version is accidental death. An accidental death. No, human error is what they said. It was human error, and when they came to investigate, that's what the detective said. We're here to investigate the accidental death of, and that was just weird for me. I'm like, wait a minute, man. There's no accident here, man. You know what I mean? Somebody was murdered, you know? He says, well, hold on, stop. You know, reads me my rights, and he tells me, let's start over again. So you're saying there's 2 of you guys into a cell and one of you gets killed, so the other's guilty of murder. And I said, well, no. I mean, no. He says, well, then who murdered him? And I said, the cops murdered him. He said, what? What do you mean the cops murdered? I said, the cops murdered him. I said, he pissed somebody off somewhere along the line, and they decided to put him in a cell with me. You know what I mean? Knowing what was going to happen, so thereby using me as a tool to accomplish what they wanted, and that was him dead. You know? And they were kind of ready for that. They were like all the... You ever seen a commercial where they're... I forgot what it is that's going on, and they're trying to do something, and the guy like, no thanks, and all of a sudden everything just drops, the background, everything, and they just like pack up everything. That's what it was like to me. He just like stops and he goes, all right, check this out. This is what's up. This is what the charge is going to be. This is what's other. If you attempt to contact this dude's family one more time, we're going to prosecute you for this. And I'm like, what? So basically, if I just keep my mouth shut, I get to go home, right? Okay. So I asked my neighbor when they were all gone, because my neighbor had like the most sensitive ears in the world. He could hear a mouse pissing on cotton like 3 sections over. And I tell him, hey, Rob, what did he just say? And he said to me, sounded like he said to me, consider this a free one. And that was it, man. He just walked away and left me with that, man. And that's the one thing in all the things that I've ever done in the past like that's the one that bothers me. That's the one that haunts me, I guess, you know.
Tell me about drug use.
I just, I started out smoking weed early on. My dad and my grandma smoked weed, and my Uncle Jimmy and Kathy, and I used to see them all. And one day I'm with my cousins. We're all playing in the house, and I get to clowning because I see an ashtray and it's full of roaches. So I grab a big old roach out of there and to just like clown, everybody that I had seen doing it before, my grandma, my dad and everybody. I grab a roach and I start going like that, to my cousins, like, yeah, look. And they're all laughing and everybody's laughing at me. And then all of a sudden, all the laughing stops. And they're looking, and I'm just like, something in me I just know that fucking somebody's standing behind me. My grandma, my dad, somebody, you know what I mean? And I turn around, and it's my grandmother. And I'm like, I throw it in the ashtray, and she goes, oh, no. ¿Quieres fumar? Ah, ven pa' acá, cabrón, ven. Made me sit down. She fucking lit that motherfucker up. Got that motherfucker smoldering, just fucking says, here. And I take it, and I'm like, no, Grandma, no. She goes, no, go on. Like you were showing your cousins, show me. And I'm like, oh my God, no. And I'm like, but I do exactly as she says, and I fucking gag, and I fucking choke forever, and I'm crying, but I just remember fucking being high as a fucking kite, and my fucking grandma telling me, don't you ever do that shit again, don't ever let me catch you doing that shit again, you don't play like that. And I told her, okay, Grandma. She said, "What's wrong with you?" And I told her, "I don't know. My eyes just want to cry." But she tells me, "Go to bed and before your aunt gets home and sees you like that and shit." And so it started out with that, you know what I mean? And that just made me curious. I just went on. I didn't get into any harder drugs until like around 20 or so. And I started with a little bit of meth and no, coke. And I got into the meth thing and I just got into it like full-fledged, end up cooking meth and you know, just meeting the right person at the wrong person, wrong time, you know what I'm saying? And he ended up being a cook and we just became buddies and I started cooking meth and it just got fucking insane, man. It was just so much money and so much drugs involved and just I couldn't handle it, man. My brain was constantly going a million miles an hour. So a friend of mine fucking turns me on to fucking heroin. And I take a couple hits, we smoke it. And I'm like, fuck. I remember the high being really fucking good, but I never fucked with it after that until I got to prison. And once I got to prison, that's where it became my thing. You know what I mean? Heroin became my thing. And but it was my prison thing. You know what I mean? And I kept on and on while I was in prison, and then I got out and I had a little battle with cancer, man, and fucking I was on the pills and everything, and I just got strung out on pharmaceuticals, man, and they just got too expensive, and I ended up back into the heroin because it was just so much cheaper, and I was getting so much better of a high. And then I get out, man, and nobody's got heroin, and everybody's doing this new fentanyl shit, man, and fucking, it just, I've always even when with heroin, I've been able to control myself, you know what I mean? When it's time to quit, you know what, boom, it's done. I'll get sick for my day or so, and I'm good, you know? But this fentanyl, man, I cannot, there's something about it, man, I cannot stop it. I cannot. I've tried everything I can to stop it, and it just has this hold on me that it won't let me go, man. I've tried everything. I've tried it with drugs. I've tried it with the fentanyl. I mean with the Suboxone. I've tried it with the other stuff. What's it? Methadone. I've tried it with methadone, and neither one of them can get me to. I mean, I'll go to the methadone clinic, get my dose, and 10 minutes later, I just want to go fucking score. You know what I mean? And it's got a strange, deadly hold on me, and I'm afraid I'm gonna be a fucking statistic, man. I really am afraid that that's what's gonna be what happens to me, bro.
You live in where? You're homeless?
Yeah. I just live on the streets, man. I sleep wherever I pass out, I guess.
How do you support yourself?
Mostly selling fentanyl. Boosting, I'm going to steal from stores, and but I mean that's about it.
What does this lifestyle do to you emotionally?
It's made me so ashamed of who I am that I haven't talked to my baby in a year because I don't. I don't want her to have to say that that's my dad, you know what I mean? I don't think any child should ever have to say, you know, there's my daddy, you know, the one sleeping on the street. fucking doing drugs. And I don't want her to have to. I'm so ashamed of who I am that I don't want her to have to be my. I don't want her to have to say that I'm her dad. It's beating me. I've finally been beaten, man. And I feel like Tyson, man. Tyson fucking took that one fucking hit, laid on the floor, and he liked it. After that, man, he just lost every fight because it was just easier to lay down than to fucking fight anymore.
What's your biggest fear? No.
Dying alone. Just dying alone, man. I got this cancer trip going again, man.
What kind of cancer?
Fucking tumors.
What kind of cancer?
They say it's in my lymph nodes or whatever the fuck. Last time I did treatment, I was 216 pounds. I did treatment and I went down to 98 pounds, bro. I'm like a $135 right now. I don't have treatment in me. I think it'll kill me way before. Yeah, I think it'll kill me before anything.
What's your biggest regret in your life?
My biggest regret? Is not listening to my wife more. Not taking the guiding hand that she had that could have fucking guided me through the whole fucking mess. Through all the fucking... All I had to do was listen. Take her hand and just listen. And I just was such a fool, man. I mean, she made it so easy for me. And I still fucking...
Adrian, what would you say? What would you say is the most important thing you've learned in your life?
Learned what?
What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
I would say that the most important thing is that it's never too late, man. You know, as long as you got life, you got breathing, you got air going into your lungs, and you wake up, I truly believe that it's not too late to fucking make the change that needs to be made in order to get you to the place that you need to be. Not so much the place you want to be, but there's places that we need to be in life, you know, and they're not always the places that we want to be, but the Creator knows where we're supposed to be, and we just need to follow that, you know. We live amongst signs, and, you know, when you stop reading the signs and stop acknowledging these signs, and that's when you start fucking up, man. You know, it's just like a simple sign being you're tired. You just want to sleep. That's your body telling you, get rest. If you can't take a simple sign like that and get some rest, then you're, you know, but you just need to open up your eyes and just, the signs are there, you know, there's a path. The Creator's making the path, He's showing you the path, and it's up to you to just make the right turns, you know, the right choices along the way. Because believe me, there is other choices always. There's always another choice, you know. So it's just never too late, you know, to make the right choice. You know, the one thing about bad decisions is that you can change them. You know what I mean? You can always change them. You know, that's up to you to change them. You know.
All right, Adrian, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Best of luck. Thank you.